I will never forget the first time I walked around the little town of Bethlehem. No, not Bethlehem, Alabama, or Bethlehem, Indiana, or Ohio, or Georgia. I'm talking about the real Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, in Palestine. I couldn't help but notice one saintly figure that the local Christians obviously admired or had a devotion to. And practically everywhere I turned, there was this stark image of a hooded old man with a full gray or white beard, and whose eyes are looking down to where all you see are his eyelids. And that is the image of Saint Charbel Makhlouf, the patron saint of Lebanon and of Arab Christians. Now, I admit, the image was not unfamiliar to me, but I really didn't know much about this remarkable and fascinating saint until a few years ago. So Charbel was born in May of 1828 in a small mountain village in Lebanon, and was baptized in August of the same year with the name Youssef Anton Makhlouf. Now, from a very young age, this pure and holy man wanted to become a monk and a hermit. He became a monk of the Lebanese Maronite order at the age of 23, at which time he took the name Charbel in honor of a 2nd century martyr. Well, aside from his fellow monks, here's something really interesting, and there's a lot of interesting things about this man, this saint. Aside from his fellow monks, no one ever saw Charbel's face while he was alive. He had his hood over his head, and he always kept his head down in church while praying or at work or just walking around. Well, the popular image that we have of him that I saw all over the Holy Land was but an artist's rendition. According to the book by Father Mansour Awad, the book is called 3 Lights from the East, Charbel would lift his eyes only to heaven. When in church, he always faced the altar with his eyes fixed on the tabernacle. However, when he died and was lying face upward, his eyes were closed, still not looking at anyone, exactly as in his lifetime. On December 16, 1898, while praying the Divine Liturgy, Charbel suffered a stroke and endured 8 days of terrible pain, yet with so much calmness, because he endured it prayerfully and prayerfully. And eventually he died on Christmas Eve in 1898 before the presence of the Eucharist. He had such a devotion to the Eucharist, by the way. And Pope Paul VI beatified Charbel in 1965 and canonized him 12 years later on October 9th, 1977. He is known as the saint with the most miracles. For one, starting on the night of his death, Charbel's tomb emanated a bright light that no one could explain. And this mysterious light could be seen from a great distance and continued for 45 days after his death. When his tomb was finally opened, for the first time, 4 months after his death, St. Charbel's body was found to be perfectly intact, despite having been buried without a casket and in very wet and muddy conditions. For 67 years, his body remained incorrupt, but for reasons known only to God himself, St. Charbel's body did finally comply with the laws of nature at the time of his beatification in 1965. One other unexplainable thing that's worth mentioning happened in May of 1950. So let me just say, isn't it ironic? Someone who hid his face from people had never had a photograph taken of him, but Saint Charbel gifted us with a photo of himself in May 8 of 1950, his birthday. So this happened, let me just explain this real quick. This happened when Charbel mysteriously appeared in a group photo taken by a visiting American Maronite priest in Lebanon. His name is Father George Webby. So this visiting priest was simply taking a group photo, of 4 monks and 1 guard on duty outside the wall of the monastery in which St. Charbel had lived. So that's 5 people, right, in the group shot. Well, when the picture was developed, 6 people appeared, and the 6th person was quickly identified as Charbel himself. And by the way, experts have since ruled out any trick photography. Well, to this day, countless miracles are occurring through him. And even those from various religions, including Muslims, Hindus, Jewish, Druze, and yes, have been healed through his intercession. His love truly is a radiant light. So may the lights that shone from his tomb remind us that just how important it is to be the light of Christ to others. And may St. Charbel's life inspire us to emulate his action as we work towards helping others strengthen their faith as well. So, St. Charbel, pray for us.
Thank you for participating in the digital liturgy today. The digital ministry touches the lives of many people, as does almost 80 other ministries here at OLPH. Grateful for the community that connects to OLPH through this digital forum. It's unbelievable how many people are able to access the liturgy and other events because of this ministry. Please consider supporting OLPH. All of your sacrifices help to sustain this parish and to keep moving us into the future. Thank you very much, and keep watching.